And staying on in the West African region, the junta-led Mali has joined its neighbours Burkina Faso and Niger in ramping up efforts to shed the remnants of its colonial past and to restore the country's rich history and cultural identity. Its latest target? Streets that bear the name of the former colonizer, France. Mali has already shut its doors for Western troops and has moved on to forge closer ties with Russia. So does this latest move mark the end of West's foothold in West Africa? Our next report gets you the details.
Anti-colonial sentiment in West Africa is taking a new shape. After shedding their ties with former colonial powers, especially France, some of these nations have been looking to restore their culture and honor their rich history, dumping their colonial past. Their latest action, renaming streets that carry former colonial powers' names or identities. Mali is the latest nation to do so. The West African country, which has been ruled by a military junta since 2020, has chosen to get rid of the French colonial names its streets and squares carry, especially in the capital city of Bamako. A decree from the junta chief, Colonel Assimi Goïta, stated that streets bearing the names of members of France's colonial administration have been rebaptized in the capital city. This came after Mali's Council of Ministers had reportedly mandated to rename squares, streets and public buildings in Bamako earlier in December as part of Mali's post-independence efforts to decolonize public spaces and reshape historical narratives. Reports suggest that nearly 25 names across boulevards, streets, squares and public establishments have been replaced. An avenue in the capital city that bore the French name of regional bloc ECOWAS has also been changed to a new strategic confederation that Mali has formed with its neighbours Burkina Faso and Niger, called the Alliance of Sahel States. Now, Mali had gained independence from France in 1960. Post-independence, the country maintained good diplomatic ties with its former colonial power, which aided it in fighting jihadist insurgents in the region. But ever since the military junta took over after a double coup in 2020 and 2021, it has turned its back on France and Western allies due to mistrust. The junta has instead turned closer to Russia, which is providing it with military support in return for raw materials for industrial production amid the ongoing conflict with Ukraine. But interestingly, Mali is not alone in shutting its doors to France. Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad and Senegal have also rejected France and forced Paris to pull out its military from their territory. Burkina Faso and Niger, which are being ruled by junta as well, have also ramped up their efforts to shed remnants of colonialism in their countries. They have also renamed several streets, boulevards and historical monuments that carried French administration or colonial names. In October this year, Niger's military leaders renamed an avenue that bore the name of former French President Charles de Gaulle in the capital city of Niamey to honor the legacy of Nigerian politician Jibo Bakari, who had played a key role in the West African country's struggle for independence. So, with Africa's junta trio denouncing their former colonial power and its allies, is it the end of the West's chapter in West Africa?